What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 8 of Skins in the Game, where John and Tim talk about what's going on in the DC sports world. Little bit news, I guess you could say. We're adding 2 new shows to the channel, so it's just not going to be Skins in the Game anymore. We're going to have on Wednesday nights, starting next week, so not tomorrow, but next week. We're going to have a Beltway battle with me and my friend Daryl. We're going to be talking about the NFL. He's a big Ravens fan. I'm Skins, so the Beltway battle there. The second one is going to be a lot of NBA and NCAA hoops with another friend of mine, KP. And that'll be called 94 Feet. And that'll be aired on Thursday nights. And that'll come to you then. And that starts in this Thursday. But we're here at Skins in the Game, and we're going to be talking about a lot of skin stuff today. So how you doing today, Dad?
I'm doing all right.
You doing good?
It rained a little bit ago, but it's clear now, so
there you go.
Everything's good. I got my glass of wine, so I'm
I made it so the entire Redskins poster in the back is now in the shot. Everybody can get a nice look at that.
Yeah, I'm sure you received a lot of complaints about that.
Yep. You also got some Redskins garb on for episode 1 of Full Skins. Look at you.
It's getting closer to football season. I'm starting to feel it. So.
There you go. Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. And we got the first topic of the day. Redskins retire the number 49 of their first black player, Bobby Mitchell. I got a lot of info on him. I honestly did not know a lot about him because he played back in the 50s and 60s. So it was kind of cool to learn some about a Redskins great, which he clearly was once you actually look into what he was. But he was inducted into...
For the record, for the record, he was before my time too, really. I was 4 years old when he retired. So.
Yeah.
So I didn't really...
How dare you not follow him? How dare you not follow him for the entire 4 years of your childhood? No. But he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame in 1983. He was a halfback/receiver hybrid. Little Antonio Gibson, I guess, but hopefully Antonio Gibson can follow in his footsteps. I found this cool. His first game as a Redskin, he ran back a 92-yard kickoff return against Dallas. We like to hear that. His first 2 seasons were just ridiculous numbers looking at this at the time. Obviously, football was a much more heavy run game back in the day, and then also it was a 14-game season. So his first year was 72 catches, which was first in the league, 1,384 yards, which was first in the league, by over 200 yards to the next closest person.
Well, just for the record, this was his first year with the Redskins. He played for Cleveland before that.
Yes, you're right. It was first 2 seasons in a Redskins uniform. Yes, sorry about that. Yeah. They were ridiculous. Okay. So, and then also 11 touchdowns, which was good for third in the league. The second season was, again, a 69 catches, which was second in the league, 1,436 yards, which, again, was over 100 yards over the next person, and 7 touchdowns that included a 99-yard touchdown reception, which is obviously tied for the longest that you could ever get. His career ended with a total of 14,078 all-purpose yards, which was good for second at the time that he retired, only behind the great Jim Brown. So if that's the one person you have to trail when you retire, I guess that's not so bad. He averaged 5.3 yards per rush and 15.3 yards per catch. Insanity.
Wow, what a joke.
Yeah.
That's as good as he could do?
Exactly. And then, but after we retired, which was kind of cool, is that he actually became a Redskins front office member as a scout, and he was there for 35 years. Unfortunately, he did want to become the first black GM, but he was passed over twice by the Redskins. One for Bobby Beathard. Can you really complain about that? I think he had some success here at the Redskins general manager. But the second one was Charlie Casserly, which was not a great tenure as a Redskins GM, you would say, which would have been interesting.
No,
to see what he would
I
do.
think he rode the coattails of Bobby Beathard, and he wasn't nearly as good as him.
Yep. And unfortunately, Bobby Mitchell did die a few months ago on April 5th, 2020. And the only thing left I had on here was that he was previously the only jersey that the Redskins had retired was Sammy Baugh's number 33. They have a bunch of like numbers that are the untouchables, but they are technically not retired. Hence why Joe Theismann's number 7 was given to Dwayne Haskins. But now there's 2 official numbers, and I think this guy was extremely worthy of getting a retired number. What do you think?
Well, to the extent that I agree with retired numbers, but yes, I think that he was an amazing player. I did want to also add that I had read that when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1983, I think I read this correctly, he was only behind Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson in total yards. So even that many years after he played, he still remained third in total yards, combined yards.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. The whole retired jersey thing or retired number, I mean, I get it. He was really, really good. As I said, he was before my time. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to retire a jersey, that he's a good guy to do that with. I'm always of the thought that there's only 100 or only 99 numbers you can use. I guess you can use 0, so maybe there's 100 numbers. So how many numbers can you retire before you're not going to be able to feed a team or field a team? So
especially with all the rules, you can't retire all the 70s or all the 80s because what's your receivers going to wear at that point, right?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the other things that you mentioned, the Bobby Beathard and Charlie Casserly thing, I think he was bothered by that, but he was really upset when Steve Spurrier gave his number, and I don't have the guy's name, some nobody, but he basically gave his number to some, I don't know if it was a rookie or whatever, but I think that was when, I know he wanted to be general manager, but I think he got that. But when Steve Spurrier, basically a nobody coach that obviously didn't know the history of the Redskins, gives a nobody player Bobby Mitchell's number, and and Steve Spurrier had no clue. Hell, he didn't even know half his players' names, much less the history of the team. But that's another subject. We could talk about Steve Spurrier for a long time.
Yeah, we don't need to go to that route. Yeah, definitely don't need to do that.
But I think about, you're reading out those first 2 years' numbers, and to consider that was only in 14 games. I'm looking at, what was his? Yeah, he actually in those 2 years started all of the games. But from what I can gather, in his 10-year career, it looks like he didn't miss a game. He didn't start all the games, but he didn't miss a game.
So Iron Man as well. I did not have that on here.
I mean, I assume I'm pretty sure 58 to 60 he played in 12 games. I think there was only 12 games then. I could be wrong, but from 61 through 68 he played in all 14 games. So I believe that was about the time they went from 12 to 14 games. So yeah, he played in every game.
Even in today's standards, 72 catches for 1,384 yards. You're probably top 10 in the league. Even this passing league today, you're still in the top 10 with those numbers.
Oh, no doubt. Absolutely no doubt.
These numbers are insane for the time that he was able to do it in, and it was especially because, as I said, that they used to run the ball. Some teams only ran the ball. I mean, it was crazy back in those days.
Passing was not it was actually not frowned upon. That's not the right word, but it was kind of like, that was a cowardly, I guess. The football was thought, run the ball. You have to run it through us, and tried to pass the ball. They looked at it as
a finesse game and a power game. Yeah.
You're chickening out because you don't think you can run on us, so you're going to pass the ball. And I think there was a little bit of that. But yeah, it just a phenomenal career. I'll be honest, I did not realize that he was actually the first black player for the Redskins. I know that Preston was the lone holdout. All the other teams had black players, and he was an obvious racist. There's no question about it. But he did not want to hire black people, and I know that DC basically said, if you're going to play at our stadium, you have to conform to the new rules, which is, they had opened the door for that, and he finally relented, and Bobby Mitchell was the guy
we
that
actually
he
drafted a
for.
player. I could look it up, but we actually drafted a player first overall who was a black player that same season. But
yeah, but I think we had traded for Bobby Mitchell already.
No, I think this was he was. No, you're right. We had traded for another guy, but he was the first one that we drafted that same year.
Yep.
But we actually traded him that first overall pick because he was afraid that this guy was going to ask for too much money. That was his excuse. Maybe it was actually just he didn't want a black player. Who knows? But he ended up trading him. But what was crazy is that player, I wish I could remember his name. I could probably look it up real quick. Ended up dying of leukemia before he ever played a game.
Wow.
I was what? Like, it's it's terrible to look at it this way, but it's like, when's the Redskins gotten that lucky before? We actually trade away the guy that has an unknown case of leukemia.
I wonder if that's what Brian's song was about. That was a movie about a football player, Gale Sayers. Brian Piccolo was the guy that died, I believe, of leukemia. And
Ernie Davis was the guy that we drafted first overall in the 1962 draft. But the Redskins owner was wary of Davis's potential salary demands and traded his rights to Cleveland for a first-round pick and Leroy Jackson. But unbeknownst to anyone at the time of the draft, Davis had leukemia and died without ever playing a down in professional football.
Hey, I remember that guy, Leroy Jackson. Not.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was very interesting. In that's on Bobby Mitchell's Wikipedia page. So I didn't go hunting that out. It's just that's how they ended up getting here. But yeah.
Yeah, Brian's song
was
actually
sorry.
about...
No, that's how he got here. There it is. Traded his rights to Cleveland for Mitchell and a first-round pick who was Leroy Jackson. So, no, that's how we traded Ernie Davis for Bobby Mitchell.
Oh, okay. So they did draft Ernie Davis first.
Yeah, they drafted Ernie Davis and then traded his rights away for Mitchell and a first-round pick. So...
Yeah, Brian's song was
trade.
about Brian Piccolo, and he was a teammate. He was the Bears on the Chicago Bears. He was a teammate of Gale Sayers, and
okay.
he died of actually cancer.
Yeah,
but I think leukemia is very similar to that anyway. But yeah, so I mean, if they're going to retire a jersey, I mean, you can't complain about the person they picked. He was way ahead of his time, and you're right. If he had played. I think he'd have played in today's game, he probably would have been just as good. A lot of times you have players that are good for their era. I think he would have made it.
It's very possible, especially in a pass-happy league where he was clearly really good at it.
Yeah,
but
I like to saying that he.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I like to say, and he goes, I like to carry the ball, but I also like to catch it. I'm like, okay, well, that's good because you're playing football.
I like to pick things up and put things down. Yeah. I play football.
Yes. So anyway.
Stereotypical jock, right? I like to catch and I like to run the ball. Yep. I will run right through you. Awesome.
Yeah, I pretty much like doing everything that I'm doing in football. So that's good.
Awesome. Well, on to a more current topic, and it is so the Redskins clearly have some offensive needs that are pretty glaring, but they may have found some young guys. But going into the season, they needed receivers, they needed left tackle, and even left guard is a question mark. So I saw this on Hogs Haven here that Pro Football Focus says that we need to sign Antonio Brown, Jason Peters, and Larry Warford to give Haskins a chance to succeed. Do you agree that these are the people we need? But we could go at one at a time. I'll just start with this. I already said last week that I would love to get Jason Peters. I think Jason Peters is a must for us to give great protection to a young quarterback on the left side, on the blind side, and that would be very critical in his career for Dwayne Haskins. And we go draft a left tackle next year. And I'll save the obvious one for last. So I looked at this Larry Warford guy. Did you look at him at all?
I did not get a chance to.
That's fine. So he's been a 3-time Pro Bowler at the Saints. Last year he seems to have fallen off a bit. But I think he's going to be too much money. Like last year, we got a guy named Wes Switzer, I think that's how you say his name, from Atlanta, and we only paid him $13.5 million over 3 years. And I think he's a quality guy that you could put at the left guard position. And this Larry Warford could be asking. He got paid $8 million last year. He was scheduled to get paid $12 million this year. He could be asking for $10 million plus into a left guard position. He's only 29, so he's probably going to look for a longer term deal. Do we really want to wrap up, $30-40 million into an aging left guard when you have some young players?
Yeah, you're asking. My answer is no. I know the tackle position. Yeah, I could see that, but I don't. I think the Redskins have gotten bitten too many times about trying to bring in quote unquote talent or experience to try to get them somewhere quicker than they might get otherwise. And to be perfectly honest with you, for the most part, other than the left guard, I feel pretty good about our place, and I agree that we need to protect Dwayne Haskins, absolutely. So that's why I was considering Jason Peters, but I'm not into. Yeah, don't bring in somebody that you have to pay tons of money because because he's got experience. When you got the potential for building a team from the ground up, getting youth and excitement and people that really want to play, and see what happens. I just don't think you need to, like I said, the chance to succeed, that's awfully, what do you mean, chance to succeed next year or at all? I don't, it's kind of a little bit vague, but.
Yeah, I think they mean like at all. I guess maybe it seems like they were talking about like that if we don't get good guys around him this year, it could be detrimental to his psyche and his progress moving forward. So I don't think it was just this year.
I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're going to have a problem with his psyche. I think the progression we've talked about before about what he did last year shows that the game is not bigger than him, that they, even when the offensive line was supposed to be terrible last year without Trent Williams, he still managed to hold his own. He brought him down the field and had some comeback victories. So I don't feel like we're in dire straits to where we need to go, I'd say panic. That might be too strong of a word, but
yeah,
that we don't need to go out and try to reach just to give him a chance to succeed. I think that's way over the top.
Well, on to the obvious name that was written in this title.
Yeah, I had to bite my lip to not say the answer right out from the beginning. Just so you know.
Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown would be an unmitigated disaster to bring into this locker room. This young group of players. He's super talented. He works really hard.
No doubt.
I'm almost positive he has CTE, and he's lost his mind.
He is damaged goods right now mentally. I'm sorry that I see no upside because I see no chance that he's going to come into a locker room and conform and be a leader. It's not going to happen. And the first time something goes wrong, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I will say no 100 times, and they might as well just take him off of and scratch his name off of the available list because they should never ever go.
Apparently, Ron Rivera though did mention him in one of his interviews that a possibility. It seemed like I don't like that. I guess maybe as a head coach, you need to keep all options open at all times. But this is not a guy you could bring in. He tried to fight a general manager in Oakland.
Yeah, I'd have to know what context. I didn't hear Ron Rivera say that. I'd have to know what context.
Yeah,
he was talking.
I had to look into it to pull it up. But he did mention Antonio Brown and was asked about him, and he did not just shut it down immediately. It's an
well, and again, think of it this way: if somebody asks you that question, what do you think about Antonio Brown, and you say nope, no way, would never consider him, then that's going to be a headline.
Yeah.
That Ron Rivera says he would never consider Antonio Brown on his team. Why would you do that?
Okay, what's a worse headline? That you are considering him?
Well, well, and again, did he say he's considering him or just he's he's among the players?
I didn't. have the quote listed up when I sit here, but yeah, it's
that's why I said I'd have to know the context of it to be able to judge that. But I would rather, and to your point, even I would rather say yes, I'd consider having him on my team and not do it than say I would never consider having him on my team and then have that be a distraction for the next 2 months, especially in the whole racial tenor we're in right now. You know what I'm saying? It just, I think it would be.
Here's how I feel. It's gonna be a no for me, dog. It's good. That's gonna be a no for me.
I'm just not feeling it.
Not feeling that one. It's nope, not there.
You just didn't bring it today.
You just didn't bring it today, man. Oh gosh. Yep. So the only one that I think on that list is Jason Peters that I would like to see as a Redskins, and I would really like to see that. I hope they make that move.
So what do you think the chances are they're going to make that move, or are you just pulling that kind of out of left field? Well, obviously it's not that far out of left field because somebody else is talking about it. But do you have any feeling of whether or not the Redskins are seriously considering that?
I have not heard anything from anybody out of the Redskins organization to actually make the move. It seems like they're not going to make any moves until after training camp and after a preseason game or two to see where they're at the position. They want to see what Sadiq Charles can do. They want to see what Wes Schweitzer can do. They want to see the rest of. They want to see the whole team. I mean, Rod Rivera's a new coach, so he just wants to see everybody on the field. But same thing with even the other positions. He just wants to see what these young guys can do. But if you're talking about Antonio Brown and you're not considering Jason Peters, I'm sorry. Like, that's completely crazy to me. You have to be considering Jason Peters over Antonio Brown, especially at the glaring need of the left tackle position that we have when you have a second-year quarterback. This should be high on the priority list, and if they haven't looked into it, I'm floored by that.
Well, and I'll say this: if you have Antonio Brown on your list in any kind of priority, I mean, you look back at the Patriots. I think it was the Patriots that signed him, and he lasted all of about a week. Yeah. That, and I know there was other things that came out. So the Bill Belichick, like him or hate him, has been able to get extra out of top, aka Randy Moss kind of things, where bring in people and get them to the next level and be able to use their talents for your advantage. And if he couldn't do it with Antonio Brown, like I said, it's unfortunate, but I think he's damaged goods. I think that hit that he took, I think it did something because it seemed like prior to that, you almost never heard about anything from him other than just playing great on the field. And maybe I missed something, I don't know. But after that, it was like, okay, he's
addicted to social media too. He's a millennial that's addicted to social media. Like, he cannot stay off of it. Like, he's in legal battles and he's saying things on social media. Like, there was a woman accused him of rape or something, and then he went on social media and attacked her and her kids. Like,
why wouldn't you do that?
He's a mess.
Yeah,
but,
I hope.
All right.
I hope to God that they
switching gears,
stay way away from him.
Switching gears here, we're going to quit talking about people that are coming in and potentially people on the way out. And that is, there is trade rumors for Ryan Anderson floating around. And just a little details on Ryan Anderson. We drafted him in the second round of 2017, so he is going into his last year on his rookie deal. He only started 4 games, but played in all 16 last year. He had 5 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 sacks, 30 solo tackles, 14 assisted tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 9 QB hits last season. Where would he play in the 4-3 system as a linebacker? He's a guy that rushes the quarterback, and he's a hard-nosed dude, and he could do decent in the run game, but his cover skills are atrocious. They have a completion percentage stat now of when you're thrown at. Teams only completed 81% of their passes when throwing against Ryan Anderson. They went 13 of 16. So, and I know I said he's a pass rusher, but he's not even like fantastic at the pass rusher position. He is tough, though. He's extremely hard-nosed tough. Here's a quote from him that somebody said, and it's a direct quote apparently, "If I can remember my grandkids' names, then I didn't play the game right."
I saw that.
Yeah.
It's like, put that in the category of just dumb things to say.
Yeah. Especially the CTE.
Yeah.
But honestly, I didn't like him as a second-round pick when we drafted him. I did not like that pick coming off that Alabama defense where everyone had a great season. I thought that was kind of a crazy early round for him. Now, if we got him in the 4th or 5th round, I think that's a solid pick for what we could get out of him. But a second rounder, you're looking for a big impact player, and that's just not what Ryan Anderson is. And right now, he is only $1 million against the cap, so he's not a big cap hit. And I wrote here, it's like I say you get what you can from him. I don't think he's a guy that you're going to bring back next year. If you can get a 4th or a 5th round for him, that could be very crucial.
Yeah. I was just looking through the linebacker list right now just to see, how he would fit in with what I mean, I guess if you don't want him to have to cover as much, you'd have to put him in middle linebacker. And can he even play that position? I don't know. Isn't he like an outside linebacker?
Yeah, or definitely an outside backer is what his standard position is. I would not think of him as a middle linebacker. I mean, he has the size and ability to. It's just I don't know if that's actually a position that he. Well, I would say ability, but a middle linebacker still covers. Like all three of the linebackers in the 4-3 have to be able to cover when you're only sending 4 guys, and he's not a cover guy.
Right. So let me ask you this. How much do you think his lack of ability to cover had to do with the coaching staff and the position they put him in? I don't know. I was just thinking that. Is it possible that with Jack Del Rio knowing defense a lot better than Minuski, that he's going to be able to put people in a position of going to find out what their skills are and put them in a position of success, unlike, having Ryan Kerrigan, covering receivers. I don't know. It's just a
fair question. I do think that everybody under this defensive coach is going to play better than what they did last year. I do not like, obviously, how I feel about Greg Minuski. I did not like that defensive coordinator spot. And so it's fair to say that, will he play better? I think so, but I think a part of him playing better and putting him in a better position is not putting him in coverage. I think that's going to be in Jack Del Rio's cards of, this guy is not playing.
And what's his salary hit, did you say?
It's only $1 million, just over $1 million.
So maybe you bring him in, although I don't know that he'd be happy not being a starter, but.
Well, he only started 4 games last year.
Okay.
For us.
So I mean, I don't see a problem with your idea of shopping him and see what you could get for him. I don't know how much. Maybe you'd have a lot of interest. I have no idea, but
they did say that there were some teams interested. It looks like the going rate would be somewhere around a 5th for him. A 5th round, which sucks that you're turning a 2nd round pick into a 5th round pick, but you have what you have, and it could be interesting to get a guy, especially where you don't really have a real fit for him in your defense, and you can get a 5th round pick for him. I say do it.
Yeah, 5th seems and I get your point, but it doesn't seem like
enough.
Okay, so, well, you're getting. I mean, what do you have to lose keeping him on the team and fitting him in somewhere if you're only getting a 5th? That's all I'm saying. It's not, it's not like he's detrimental to your team. I mean, there are things that he needs to get better at, and you could hope that with the new coaching staff that maybe that was the problem. I don't know, but I mean, you look at it. Was Ryan Kerrigan's drop off in productivity because of him, or was it because you had somebody running a defense that was inept and putting you in bad positions? And while I agree with the new talent on the line, he's going to benefit from that. But you have to take that into consideration that maybe it has to do with the fact that it wasn't just him, it was the coaching staff and what they were telling him to do. I don't know. And maybe Ryan Anderson's the same way.
I also think it's going to be hard for Ron Rivera in general to make trades when you've already said that you're just trying to see what you even have.
You can't really know a whole lot, especially in light of the fact that you haven't been able to do OTAs or anything yet.
Yeah, you don't know what he's never really, other than the one game they played, he hasn't even seen Ryan Anderson play live.
Yeah, has he even met him?
I'm sure on Zoom meetings, but face to face, I would doubt it.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah,
I would doubt it.
Yeah, I that's what I mean. I guess technically that's mean, but it's like, has he ever been face to face with, and who knows how this whole schedule thing is going to work with when they're going to finally be able to get together. Mm-hmm. But
I read somewhere that the Hall of Fame game, Cowboys versus Pittsburgh, Adam Schefter says that he believes that that's going to get canceled.
I think it's a shame, and my opinion on this whole thing.
Yep.
I guess they got to do what they have to do, but my God, just start living.
Right.
Just anyway, I am not going down that pipe.
We won't go down that road. We will switch to another Ryan, and that is Kerrigan. He had an interview this week that said that he wants to be here for the remainder of his career. As long as that may be, he would like to be a Washington Redskins, which is extremely rare in today's Washington Redskins. So that's
what. Okay, my first question is, what's wrong with him?
Talk about CTE. Holy moly! No.
I have to reevaluate my like of Kerrigan because obviously something's wrong if he likes being with the Redskins. But I'm kidding. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I've always really liked him.
And I hope he does. Yeah, I right there with you. Obviously, my wife loves him as well. That's her favorite player on the team today. So that would stink for her to see him go. But
why? It's because he's the cutest.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that for our listeners. That
yes, absolutely, he's the best. But I'm excited about Ryan Kerrigan and Jack Del Rio's defense.
Big time.
Because talk about it. He was playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. Excuse me, in the 3-4 defense, he was playing the outside linebacker, and we talked about Ryan Anderson being bad in coverage. Kerrigan's completion was only 100%. They only went 8 for 8 when they threw Kerrigan's way last year. Kerrigan was never a cover guy. To ever put Kerrigan in coverage is ridiculous. He is a rush the passer, and that's what he's good at. He has 90 sacks on his career. He's had multiple 10-plus sack seasons. Get him rushing the passer. Now, with him not having the pressure on him to be the best defensive lineman on the team, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Matt Ioannidis, he's potentially the 6th best guy on our team now.
Right.
In a 4-3 defense where he's going to be rushing the passer basically every single play. I'm looking for him to get his highest sack total of his career, which would be 14 sacks.
Yeah, I could see that. I like Jack Del Rio's philosophy he said about rushing the passer. He goes, that my philosophy is as a lineman that you are covering the run on your way to the quarterback. So your mindset is always get to the quarterback, but mind your gaps when you're going and watch. So it's like, I just like that saying, play the run while you're going to the quarterback. I think it's a brilliant scheme. But yes, I agree. I'm 100% behind you that I think, I'm sorry, that Kerrigan is going to benefit from what we expect or hope. I think probably more expect than hope, but that we're going to have a beast of a front line. And like you said, for Kerrigan to be the 5th or 6th best one on that line and knowing that he's pretty, excuse me.
Wine went down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, apparently I'm getting choked up talking about Ryan Kerrigan, but but I think, like you said, I think he's a really good player, and that for him to be, maybe the of the four linemen they have, him being the fourth best on there, and that teams having to, deal with Chase Young and Payne and Allen, that yeah, he's got. I agree with you. I think he's going to have a breakout year, and especially if those three other guys live up to their potential, that he's going to be being in single
Covered.
teamed,
Yeah.
single
Yep.
cut, whatever, and not the best guy on the, he's going to be dealing with the weaker of the links of them, and they're not going to be able to double team him. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
he might be. They might have to try occasionally to chop him with a
running back or a tight
running
end,
back,
yeah.
because they're going to have to double team potentially at least two of the other guys on that line, if not three.
Especially if Chase Young pans out to be the beast that we hope to be. That guy's gonna need a lot of protection there. So
I mean, you think
exciting.
about it. That you think Chase Young, if he pans out, there's a lot of ifs, I know that, but if he's what he's supposed to be, they're going to have to double team him. Payne and/or Allen are going to be a handful to deal with one-on-one. So you're potentially talking about their front seven having to double team two guys,
mm-hmm.
and maybe possibly three, but. I don't want to push it, but you see the point that even if it's two guys have to be double teamed, that doesn't leave a lot for the other three guys that are what they're going to be doing. So
it's going to be a crazy year. I'm very excited to see what Kerrigan can do this year in this defense. But we will continue on the defensive line talk and continue our Redskins roster 2020 predictions and who will be on the 53-man roster on the defensive line. So it's interesting. It was one of the easiest positions to pick, but then in the same breath, it was kind of hard to pick that last guy who was going to be on there. So similarly, as I always do, I went to Ron Rivera's past to see how many players in the defensive line that he would usually keep, and it was typically around 10 was the goal. So looking at it, we only have 5 defensive tackles on the team, and I think all 5 are going to make it. So you have Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle, and Caleb Brantley. All really good talent. I still like Caleb Brantley. Caleb Brantley went in the 5th round to Cleveland because of off-the-field issues, but it was actually Chris Cooley thought that Caleb Brantley could have gone to us in the 1st round that year. That was a potential, that he was that talented, that he was looking at him out of the University of Florida to say, this guy could be a game changer as a 1st rounder. So to get him off the free agency, I still am amazed by that we ended up with him. Tim Settle we drafted him in the 5th round with some 2nd round talent. Matt Ioannidis has obviously boomed in his career as a 4th rounder. So these defensive tackles are the best position on the team, the most complete, great in rotation. I don't think you'll miss a beat while rotating these guys throughout the game. Fantastic defensive tackle position.
Yeah.
Do you think one of them was... Go ahead.
No, I agree with you 100%. I was just looking at their their bios on weight, height, and all that,
mm-hmm.
and I know you watched that. We watched that video together of Jonathan Allen squatting 585 or 590 pounds
5 times,
and to see the way he was cut, and I'm just looking at his stats here, and it says he's 300 pounds, and I'm like, normally a 300-pound guy I'm not saying they're all not strong, don't get me wrong, but normally a 300-pound guy is a guy that's got a lot of girth on him too,
mm-hmm.
and it's like, to see that video of Jonathan Allen, the way he looked, and then have him listed at 300 pounds, it's like, my God. That is crazy.
Yeah, and he wasn't 300 coming into the league. When we drafted him, I believe he was 290. So he's put 10 more pounds on since college to be just an absolute tank. And it's all muscle.
Yeah, and I'm curious how many defensive tackles, and maybe they're out there, but how many defensive tackles do you know that are 300 pounds and you can see their abs? They have a six-pack.
Yeah.
That's
well,
scary.
Well, obviously, the ones that you usually look for are B.J. Raji from Green Bay or Vince Wilfork from the Patriots. Like these big 400-pound, just massive human beings, and that is definitely not what Jonathan Allen is. And somebody else that's a big gym warrior is workout warrior. You would call him is Daron Payne.
Yeah,
Payne is, I would think, even stronger than Jonathan Allen. He's a monster.
Yeah, and we talked about this, that it was exciting to me to hear that, because the video had Kerrigan, I think Payne was there. I'm not sure who the other guys were, but there's like four
Ryan
or five
Kerrigan was there. Yeah, did you say that?
Yeah, Ryan Kerrigan. So to have these 4 or 5 guys in the gym in competition, so they're basically having a one-on-one competition of you're not going to outdo me, and I would argue that is the best motivation, more than any coach or anybody could get any training guy to get somebody to try 110%. That if you got them now in a personal competition with each other, that they are lifting at 110%, and it's like the article I read. The guy said if offensive lines aren't at least a little worried about them, then they should be.
Yeah, they will be. They will.
Yeah. Oh,
be.
I think so.
So
I'm very excited to see the potential.
The other part of the defensive line would be the ends, and obviously you have Ryan Kerrigan. He'll make the team.
Yep.
You have Chase Young.
Are you sure about Chase?
It's up in the air. It's up in the air. We don't. I
think he's really going to have to prove himself. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nate Orchard looks like a really good fourth option. I went back and saw his stats in college. He had 18 and a half sacks his final year at Houston.
Wow.
And I know that last year he, towards late in the season, he did have some games where it looked like he has some real potential. So to throw another guy like that into rotation, I think that Nate Orchard will make this squad for sure.
So you said he played for Houston. What league are they in? I mean, do they play in serious teams, or are they like playing Podunk University? I don't know. I don't know anything about Houston.
What conference is that? You put me on the
spot. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I mean, are they playing real competition, or are they?
No, Houston's usually ranked in the top 25, and there's another team in that. Which conference are they in? I gotta look it up now. 1 second. But
sorry, like I said, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I just was more curious.
Yeah, but no, they're a legit team, and they do have a legit schedule. But they're also not in the SEC or the Big Ten, or they are in a smaller conference, but it's still a legit conference. Hold on, I'm looking it up now.
All I can find is NCAA American Athletic Conference.
AAC, the AAC.
Yeah.
I should have just said it. That's who I thought they were, but I chickened out. I should have just said that's where they were. But football.
No, and I just was asking, and I mean, obviously that regardless, I think that's the sign of a really good player. But, you know, you made the comment, we had the conversation about Dwayne Haskins about why did you question him? And it's because he didn't have to face what Joe Burrow, for example.
In the SEC, yeah.
Yeah, so that's something to consider. But no, I can't argue with that anyway. I see you got Ryan Anderson making the team, obviously.
So yes, if we don't trade him,
right,
this is the spot that you put him in. I don't see you putting him in as a legit linebacker position because of the coverage issues we talked about, and I think he could be a decent rotation guy at the defensive end position.
All right, so let's say that the Redskins do what you're thinking that they should do, and they trade him. Who do you put in his place?
Yes, so that is the fun part, the fun question.
I mean, there's a whole bunch to choose from.
This was tough. The funny part about James Smith-Williams, that since he is the guy that we drafted in the 7th round last year, he finds injuries. Like, looking him up, he even got hurt. So he got hurt every season at NC State. Okay? But he even got hurt while doing the vertical at the combine. He jumped and gashed his arm on the jump. He just injuries find this guy. I'd be shocked if he makes it through training camp.
So what do you think the reason the Redskins picked him at all then?
I didn't like the pick. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I think it was a throwaway pick similar to Jordan Brailford last year, the last pick of the 7th round, where it's just, all right, we don't know who to take, so let's go get another edge rusher. You can't go wrong with another edge rusher. It kind of just seemed like that was the thing. And it also doesn't seem, when he's on the field, he's not a bad player. The only knock that puts him down in the 7th round is he always gets hurt. Just season in, season out.
We've gotten bitten by that before. Jordan Reed,
Darius Guice.
Darius Guice. That, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you can't stay on the field, you're not helping us.
So I do not see James Smith-Williams making it to the end. Jordan Brailford is another draft pick that I believe will probably end up making the squad. Ryan B, I did not like. He doesn't have a whole lot of quickness either. He's a big dude at 6'7", which can be interesting, but I just do not think that he will end up making this team at all. Cameron Melville. I looked up some on him too. That I don't see him coming out of it. He doesn't have a whole lot of speed either. So if it's not Ryan Anderson at that last defensive end, I would take Jordan Brailford, our 7th round pick from last year. We spent some draft capital on him. I don't think anybody else will stand out way over him. So my last spot would be Jordan Brailford. But I would prefer, if we don't trade Ryan, I would prefer Ryan Anderson over Jordan Brailford if we don't trade Ryan Anderson. I would still say I would trade Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the whole, if you think the best we can get is a 5th rounder, I'm not sure what, I understand if he's not a fit to your defense. I get that, but I don't see the point in feeling like, hey, we got to get rid of him so we can get a 5th rounder. That's not, a 2nd or a 3rd rounder, and I'm not saying he would ever go for a 2nd, but you get my point. It's like, if you could get something like maybe a 3rd rounder or something where it's a higher up pick, but 5th round seems like, so what? What is that going to get you? What was our 5th rounder this year, and what's the chances of him making the team? That's
We did get Cole Holcomb in the 5th round, though.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it never happens, but
Tim Settle was a 5th round pick.
Maybe if some team gets in a bad way, and I'm not saying that Ryan Anderson is going to be a person they search out, but I just don't think, one, that he's harming you that much. If you had another guy that you thought, hey, I really want this guy on the team, then I could see dealing Ryan Anderson. But it's one thing to have somebody that has a 2nd round value today, and next year they're going to have a 4th round. You say, hey, I got to get rid of him now because next year he's not going to have great value. But it's like 5th round to me doesn't urge me to make a decision now. You see what I'm saying? It just, I don't know. I don't necessarily see that.
Yeah, I agree that Ron Rivera is not going to trade him, especially not right now. He's going to wait until he sees what he has. So I'm not predicting a trade anytime soon. But what I am saying is, me knowing what I do know about Ryan Anderson, I've watched him the last 3 seasons, is I don't think you have something special or spectacular in this. I don't think you're going to sign him to a deal after this season. I don't think even if he stays on the team, you're going to use him very often. So, considering what you
get something for him
at this point, that you're not going to get really anything out of him as a player. Now, that being said, I hope that he shoves it in my face and all of a sudden has an 8 to 10 sack season and in rotation, and all of a sudden he's a 3rd down warrior. You would not see me cry about it, but that's not my prediction.
That's one thing I said earlier, that part of me wants to see some of these guys in a competent defensive-minded coach that knows how to run a defense, which I think we've been I think we both agree, have been woefully deficient in that department. Let's just say the last couple of years, where we were both shaking our head, going, "Oh my God, I know I like to debate you and frustrate you sometimes about what is that? Why are you saying that?" But I get it that the defensive coordinator that they have had, I would like to see a year of, and again, if you can get something for Ryan Anderson, I'm not saying don't trade him, but I want to see a legitimate top tier defensive coach that takes his talent and see what he can get out of him for the first year. And if Ryan Anderson sucks after that, then it's on Ryan Anderson. And it's with anybody else on this team or that defense for that matter. If you can't function in this defense, I don't think you can blame it on the coaching. I think it's you just don't have it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be against the idea of, hey, hold on to what we got. Let's see what next year brings, and then make adjustments accordingly. So
yeah, it's not a make or break decision. I agree. Like, the 5th round's not going to change your life. It could. I mean, it has potential, but it's probably around the same potential as Ryan Anderson right now. Ryan Anderson could step up this year in a better defense. Awesome. And that's probably around the same percentages as next year you're going to hit on a 5th round pick. Even though I will say I love Kyle Smith and Doug Williams drafting. So giving them more picks is not going to hurt my feelings either.
Yeah, I get that. But again, I'm curious, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm curious about Ryan Anderson in coverage. Was he just flat out covering a guy and couldn't do it, or was Minuski or whoever all in his head going, you got to watch this, and you got to watch this, and you're supposed to do this, and he's out there thinking and not reacting, and then ends up getting beat because he's thinking, well, you know what I'm saying? It's like if he's thinking about
full disclosure, I did not go watch every single Ryan Anderson play, specifically like break down his film, but I do know that Ryan Anderson, like, it was never Ryan Anderson's thing to cover. It was never his thing in college. It was never his thing at any point in the pros. Like, this was not what he was brought here to do. He's a hard-nosed, run-stuffing, get after the passer, like, brute force dude.
Well, how do you draft a guy as a linebacker that can't cover?
I didn't like the pick.
Well,
I didn't. I really did not like it.
I wasn't asking you for an answer.
I was confused by it myself. I think what happened is that you had a team that loved Alabama, which, we've been called Alabama North.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And we had just drafted Jonathan Allen, and now let's go get another one of his teammates, Ryan Anderson, and let's bring the Alabama defense to Washington. And I think that they reached for a guy because he went to Alabama and was coached by Nick Saban. And I wish they didn't do that, and I wish they would have got somebody else, but here we are, and let's get something for him, in my opinion. Right. Awesome. Well, that is a show. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add before we roll out?
Can't really think about it. Anything else? I know Redskins topics are sparse, so we're doing the best we can.
Yeah.
But no, I think I do like the fact that we focused on the Redskins. Didn't have to deal with any of some of the nonsense going on right now, so I feel good.
There you go. Yeah, it was fun. I agree. But just to remind everybody, we do have 2 new shows coming. We have my basketball show coming on Thursdays with my buddy KP, 94 Feet, and we have Beltway Battle with Daryl talking about more as a NFL as a whole. He is a Ravens fan, so we could have some bashing there, hence the Beltway Battle. And I've talked football with Daryl for years. It's always a good time, and he's a good guy, good personality. So
yeah,
that should be fun.
Daryl's got a great sense of humor. I think it'll be a good show.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Please, again, like, subscribe, put down some comments down there. We could potentially talk about them at the end. If you put them on there, put them on also the snippet shows. I'll read them off here if anybody wants to come on to those and comment. And we will continue to talk our skins. Hail.
Hail.
See ya.
See ya.